Welcome in, A to Z Sports Morning Show. We're live once again, cooking the books. Tighten up, I'll take your money at the under at plus 200 by a minute. We put our mortgage on that, and we just doubled our money. Hello, I'm Easton. He's JT. It's a Thursday, and we're here to talk about the Tennessee Titans. I hope you are all well. I hope you are all getting ready for the Super Bowl accordingly. It kind of just hit me, JT. Like, oh, the big game, it's this weekend. There's always this gap between the conference championships and the Super Bowl that makes me wonder, or not makes me wonder, makes me kind of lose sight of the fact that there is still, in fact, one more game this season, and I'm starting to get excited for it. I'm also excited for our show this morning because we're talking about free agent connections. As soon as this game ends this weekend, the entire NFL is going to turn its attention towards the Combine, which is less than 3 weeks from now, which feels kind of crazy, and then free agency, which is right around a month from now, which also feels crazy. The NFL calendar does not sleep. The wheels keep a-turning, and the new Titans coaching staff has a lot of experience, as we've discussed, which means they have a lot of connections to players around the league, which means there's a lot of guys we need to keep an eye on that this coaching staff might like, who they may say, hey, Mr. Mike Borgonzi, please go get my guy. Here's where he is, and here's how much he costs, please and thank you. So we're going to talk about our favorites from the list of 26 players that are specifically connected to head coach Robert Saleh, JT. Talk about the pros and the cons, how it might impact the Titans' list of needs, their draft, all of these things. Going to be a good conversation. I'm excited for it all. But first, tell the folks what they need to do, and also hello.
Yes, hello, Easton. Good to see you finally, eventually this morning. Bullying is starting to work more and more, and good on you guys, chat. The more that you revolt, the angrier Austin gets, the faster Easton walks into his setup. So good job, chat. I want people to
Is that the message this morning?
this.
That bullying
We are
works?
all in this together. We are all in this together. Chat,
Is
myself,
that the message we want to be sending?
Austin. I think so. I think
Okay.
it is. I am here to help better yourself. And one of the ways that you can do that is by bullying you to get here on time. But nonetheless, it is.
How about JT with no hat this morning? Did I give him enough time to get the hair looking all right? Is that what happened?
I mean, basically, yes.
Okay.
Basically, I've started to elect to actually wash my hair and make it not look like insane bedhead that I have since 6:30 in the morning now, because you give me such a luxurious amount of time to do this. So maybe that'll change now that we are starting to have this coalition of people against Easton being so late. But what do you expect on a third string?
Is this
Thursday?
an intervention? Is that what this is?
I think we need to have one.
Okay.
Nonetheless, that's not what we're talking about today. We are talking, of course, about the free agents that are connected to Robert Saleh, and which ones will be good fits, which ones won't. And before we get to that, we need a couple things from you guys. First and foremost, if you're watching over on the YouTube channel, we appreciate you guys over here watching there. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe, hit the bell notification. When you hit those buttons, it sends it up into the algorithm, doing things that we don't necessarily understand, but the algorithm then puts this show on more Titans fans feed. So if you can hit us with a like over there, that would be appreciated. And then if you're on Facebook, we do appreciate you guys over there, even though I do not say it enough. Hit that like button, like the page. We're only at a 50% like to viewership ratio over on Facebook right now. Got to get that up on a Thursday morning. And with that, Easton, let's get this thing going.
Yep, let's get it started. Welcome into the A to Z Sports Morning Show, live on a Thursday morning. We're live every weekday morning at 8:10 Central Time, streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Our links are tweeted out segment by segment on our Twitter feed at ATOZ Sports, so check us out there. Also, follow us on Instagram and TikTok for more Titans coverage. And follow us at the link that I am sending in the comments right now. If you click this link, it will allow you to follow us on Google, which is a thing that you can do. It's going to get A to Z's content in front of your Google searches more often, so it's going to help us to get our content to you. It's going to help you by getting the content that you want in front of your search feed. It's a win-win. Hit that link, follow us. We appreciate that. Got to thank our sponsors this morning for making the show happen and helping out you all at home. Wilson County Hyundai. Make Wilson County Hyundai a part of your new car buying process in Lebanon or at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedics and sports medicine. Check them out at boneandjointtn.org. Barton Jury Insurance Group, customized solutions for all of your insurance needs, local and online at bartonjury.com. And Win Donation, take advantage of February's buy 4, get 4 windows free sale. You could get 0% interest financing for up to 2 years. So, JT, where do we want to begin? Do we want to just kind of throw it out there this morning? It's going to be a little bit of a awkward situation to go through all of these names because there are so many of them. We've got graphics that I'm going to get us set with here in just a second, but I'll go ahead and apologize in advance. There was no great way to get all of these things onto what I condensed down to 2 screens.
Is this going to be a graphic design is my passion type of
This is a graphic design is my passion. This is I threw it together on my phone best I could.
Oh my goodness.
It's like a crazy person's wall when they're like, it's kind of a conspiracy theory. You've got yarn taped up and everything. So let's just show the people what we've got going on here.
Okay.
Here's the first one. It's a little all over the place, but the information's in there and hopefully you're able to read it. If you aren't, I will read the names are the most important part, but we've got names of players, their age, the last team they played for, how much they made per year on their most recent contract, what over the cap has them valued at in this year's free agency, and then how they are connected to head coach Robert Saleh. JT, eventually you and I are going to talk through our favorites on this list. And we can, I guess we'll go ahead and ask the first question, which is, who is your favorite Robert Saleh free agency connection for the Titans? Now, if you don't have an answer yet, let us read off your options here. We've got, and you know what? The overlay on StreamYard is like not allowing me to read that first name. Can we tell who that is? Under the live?
He is a guard. Is that Van, what's his last name? Greg Van...
Roten?
Roten, sorry, yes.
Is it? Does he have a Saleh connection or a... I'm going to pull up the graphic on my phone because this is a unfortunate failing of the StreamYard overlay here. It is Greg Van Roten. Okay. Good call. So, guard Greg Van Roten, safety Tony Adams, defensive tackle Sheldon Rankins, wide receiver Kendrick Bourne, edge Hassan Reddick, safety Jimmy Ward, wide receiver Sky Moore, center Matt Hennessy, Titans legend linebacker Luke Gifford, defensive tackle Kalia Davis, running back Breece Hall. I bet he's a popular one that we talk about this morning. Cornerback Jason Pinnock, defensive tackle Kevin Givens, edge Michael Clemens, onto our second, slightly less frenetic graphic. VFL, Jawan Jennings, wide receiver. Also wide receiver Deebo Samuel. Defensive end Yetur Gross-Matos. Guard Spencer Buford. Quarterback Joe Flacco. Safety Chuck Clark. Running back Brian Robinson Jr. Defensive tackle Jordan Elliott. Guard John Simpson. Linebacker Quincy Williams. Guard Elijah Vera Tucker. And defensive tackle John Franklin Myers. So, if you didn't remember all of that off the top of your head, I don't blame you. But who caught your eye there? That's what we want to hear in the comments. We'll go ahead and send that question. We already have. So who is your favorite Robert Saleh free agency connection for the Titans from this group? We will single out some of the guys. We'll dive deeper into how old they are, how much money they're going to cost, what the connection is. And I'll give the chat a little bit of time to fill in some answers on that while I tell everyone about our friends real quick at the Bone & Joint Institute, because they are the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedics and sports medicine. Check them out today in my neck of the woods down here in Franklin, just off of I-65. They are a dozen specialists all packed into that one big, beautiful building on a hill that will help you through really any type of injury. However you've messed your body up, they'll get you feeling right. They have a state-of-the-art rehab facility on campus to help with your recovery. They do everything under one roof for your convenience. Clinic, testing, imaging, surgery, rehab. Schedule an appointment today. It's easy. Go to boneandjointtn.org.
Yeah. If you guys have just joined us, hit that like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. If you're on Facebook, make sure you've hit that like on the show and also on the page. Hit that share button as well. Get some of your Titans fans and friends in the chat with us this morning, talking about some of the top free agents that are connected to Robert Saleh. Easton, shall we hit the chat here pretty early this morning?
Yeah, let's let them single out some guys that we can then talk about.
Yeah, well, you were correct. The top name so far in the chat is Breece Hall. Tighten up 2 says Breece Hall. The Jer says Breece Hall. Breece probably. Breece Hall. Major Key says, where's Brandon Ayuk? I guess technically, if you wanted to go down that rabbit hole, you could go down that rabbit hole as well.
That's right. Is he even technically a free agent? I'm not sure. I think he's
I
still.
believe they will release him. So
They are.
will
They have explicitly
eventually.
said they're going to, but he is not.
Yes.
Right. His contract is not up at the moment.
Dominic says, give me Breece Hall. Steven says Breece Hall in case it's the end of Tony Pollard. We had a big discussion about that yesterday. Maybe that will factor into some of the conversation with you today, Easton. Breece Hall. Bustin' Diamond says Breece Hall, but his comments after Robert Saleh make me think he's not coming here. Jennings is coming home.
I will claim ignorance on that one. Somebody in the chat remind me of what those comments were, because I don't know what he's talking about. But I am curious. So whoever that was, Bustin' Diamond, bring some receipts. I'd be interested to see those.
Continue. Finally, so we have Juwan Jennings here. Juwan Jennings is coming home. Juwan Jennings, Vera Tucker, the first mention of Elijah Vera Tucker. Certainly a need for cornerbacks, but we go back to that list and we will. I don't know how many of those are very attractive options for to be like the type of guy they need. Vera Tucker. Eric says Vera Tucker, the only one that caught my eye, may draft a running back. Yeah, I mean, it's mostly Breece Hall, Juwan Jennings, and Elijah Vera Tucker. One vote for Debo, old man
there
Debo
we go.
as well.
So let's start with Breece Hall, since he's the most popular name, and that's an exciting option. I do find it curious, whoever it was that mentioned if it's the end for Tony Pollard. I'm not sure it's an either or thing, to be honest with you. We know Tony Pollard's under contract, right? They have an out if they want to take one. I know you and Austin, you guys talked about Tony yesterday, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what was y'all's verdict on whether or not you think he's an actual cut candidate?
Well, the chat in Austin were on the side of keep, and it was one of the stronger version of keep. It was, I want to say it was somewhere around 60-40 split for keep Pollard versus cut Pollard. Obviously, Austin has been banging the drum in terms of why you should just keep Tony Pollard. I don't hate the idea of keeping Tony Pollard, but for the sake of being different, I went with cut Tony Pollard, mostly because
for the sake of being different. I like it.
Not just necessarily for the sake of being different, but also I like looking at shiny things behind the glass and saying, "Ooh, shiny! I want this."
Was he the shiny thing?
Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker and Javonte Williams. Those are all shiny things that I say I would want. And you have the money to do it. Why not get better at a position that you're probably going to have to rely on a bunch? And I understand Tony Pollard is reliable, but I think a guy like Kenneth Walker, Breece Hall, or Javonte Williams in his resurgence here at just 26 years old could be that same type of reliability, but also have the home run upside, the longer tackle breaking upside. And so I ultimately ended on, I think it would be fine if Tony Pollard was still here, but I mean, you got to use the money somewhere, right? And so and obviously we know that running backs don't get the most lucrative contracts. Even with the salary cap going up, I imagine it will still be prorated. So it may be more money with the salary cap going up, but it's still, compared to other positions, not going to look anything like that. So why not?
And Austin phoning in from the bookkeeping department saying that it was 68% polling.
Okay. There you go.
Said keep Tony Pollard. So you weren't in a dramatic minority, but you were in the minority.
It was 8 percentage points off.
Well, to your point, the Titans have so much money to spend. I'm not sure, and with Breece in particular, I don't know what. Well, let's refresh our memory here. OTC has his valuation at $11 million per year, which is pretty hefty for a running back, right? He's coming off of his rookie contract. This past year I'm looking at his stats, the most rushing yards he's ever had in his career, broke through for 1,000 for the first time. Now he's gotten close the previous 2 years, but everyone knows he's a dual threat guy. So his most scrimmage yards came in 2023 when he won AP Comeback Player of the Year. He had over 1,500 scrimmage yards that year, just shy of 1,000 rushing, just shy of 600 receiving. Actually, this past year he had right over 1,400. So kind of in that same ballpark. The point is, he gets the ball a lot in space as a receiver, between the tackles as a rusher, around the edge as a rusher. He's somebody that you want to get the ball to because he's a playmaker, and he's going to be one of, if not the most attractive free agent running backs. I say one of because to me, JT, especially after the year that they've had, I can't help but be a little bit more attracted to a Kenneth Walker for this Titans team than a Breece Hall, partially because of the existence of Tajay Spears, to be honest with you, because Kenneth has a receiving ability too. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't think that he's some between the tackle only guy, but I'm not dying for somebody that's kind of a dual threat. I want somebody that is a leader as a runner first, and I think Kenneth is more of that than Breece is. But I'm not sure Kenneth's going to be available because Zach Charbonnet just tore his ACL late in the playoffs, and that was a two-headed monster backfield that's now going to be one-headed monster for at least a portion of next year. And even when Charbonnet comes back next year, it's going to be one of those situations where, how good is he really quite yet? So I kind of think he's not hitting the market. I have no idea if Javonte Williams is going to come available. To me, he's a distant third if we're talking about those three that you mentioned. So Breece might end up being the top guy that's actually available. And the comments that were mentioned in the chat about him with Saleh, I'm not privy to, but I am privy to the comments that he's made about the Jets in general recently. And that does not sound like a man that's going back to the New York Jets. So I think that if the Titans wanted to sign him, there really is nothing stopping them from bringing him in and keeping Tony Pollard under contract if they still like what Pollard offers them. We know that Robert Saleh comes from a background of teams like Kyle Shanahan until he got Christian McCaffrey. Now, it's a very different situation now that he has Christian freaking McCaffrey. But before that, he had good running backs, and he was always a stable guy, like stable of backs, rotate dudes. Every drive, we're doing somebody else's the bell cow. Like, it was always two or three guys touching the ball a lot. And I know that they're not adopting a Shanahan West Coast offense, but I think that ideal will probably carry over to what the Titans are doing, especially since they don't have a true bell cow running back. Very few teams do. And so I do think that it'll end up being Pollard and Spears and someone else, or if they end up moving off of Pollard, Spears and someone else and someone else. Like, if they move off Pollard and bring in a Breece Hall, I then still kind of think it's going to be Spears and Breece and someone else. Now, maybe that someone else, I'm not forgetting the existence of Khalil Mullings, right? They did draft a running back who we saw get more involved near the end of the year last year. All along, the archetype was this guy's going to be a dirty work down guy. He's going to be a between the tackle, 1 to 2 yard goal line type of power back. And so maybe that's the archetype that rounds out the third in their stable of backs. But I wouldn't put it past them to go and at least get another guy in for competition so that it's 4 competing for 3 spots, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it absolutely makes sense. The only thing that is, once again, a hiccup with keeping Tony Pollard and why I think they will target a guy.
The chat's acting like Tony Pollard's in a nursing home. Tony Pollard, how old is this man? He's 28. So let's not go crazy on how old Tony Pollard is.
He is still on the right side of 30. Like, that is correct. I just think when you look at what Brian Table has used before and how much he's relied on one running back specifically, and not to say that Tajay Spears won't be a factor, but his offenses have always really relied on one guy, right? When it was early in Buffalo, he was Devin Singletary or bust. And then James Cook was waiting in the wings a little bit. You go to the Giants, and it was Saquon Barkley all the time until Saquon Barkley left.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, it was day 3 rookie Tyrone Tracy. And it was all Tyrone Tracy. They signed Devin Singletary as well, but it was quickly very clear that he was going to be put to the wayside because Tyrone Tracy was the bell cow. Well,
and now you got the alien in there, right?
Right. And so Tyrone Tracy had 900 yards in his first season with the Giants, and then they take Scatterboo and he becomes non-existent until Scatterboo goes down with that injury, right? Mm-hmm. So like you see what I'm saying? I find it hard to believe.
You have to.
I mean, yeah, if I find it hard to believe that he will adopt a 50-50 type of split. And so I still do believe, unfortunately, for the Tyjae Spears truthers out there, unless Brian Daboll thinks that he can be that bell cow, it would have to be Tony Pollard right now. And are we thinking that Tony Pollard can still be that type of bell cow at 29? That I certainly think so, but that's kind of what I'm getting at here, in which you have an opportunity to get someone else who has a floor of Tony Pollard, but maybe has even more upside in a Breece Hall or a Kenneth Walker or Javonte Williams being a little younger. Now, getting back to the Robert Saleh of it all, they have an interesting history for sure. Just one Google search of Breece Hall, Robert Saleh comments shows you that Robert Saleh was very, I don't want to say, I guess critical is the right word here. Critical of his early stage of the career, right? Like, obviously was not doubting the talent, but certainly saying things along the lines of,
this is a gap in my understanding.
He has to certainly, he has special talent, but he needs to absolutely get some of those big grimy yards. Obviously, this is also coming off of the ACL injury with Breece Hall as well. So, now do I think that there is an animosity between the two? Probably not. Obviously, everyone that I'm saying obviously because this is the biggest thing known into the world right now, that you go to the Jets and you're going to have some animosity in that locker room. That is not a team that builds a solid culture, even if you have a guy like Robert Saleh in there who can build culture with the best of them. And the Jets are the Jets. So I don't think you look at what happened in New York and say that you're going to shoot that down immediately.
Well, to Randy's point, Daboll will likely have a large say in this. Of course, he will have a large say in this. And so what he needs for his offense will be the driving factor here. A couple other comments that I saw. Let's see. Jimmy Chestnut says he'd rather have K9 over Breece or Pollard. I agree. I just don't see a world in which Kenneth Walker's available after the Charbonnet injury. I mean, he may be about to be a Super Bowl champion. He has... This is funny. Tony Pollard is 56 years old. Let's get to Forrest's comment. He says, unless it's a special guy like Henry, running backs aren't that important. Just look at who is in the Super Bowl. Try to focus on edge, corner, and playmaker. So obviously, in general, we agree with you. Running back is one of the least premium positions. We understand this. But I do find it interesting, like, look at the running backs that are in the Super Bowl. Kenneth Walker is in the Super Bowl, and he has been a pretty significant part of the most important games of the season for Seattle. Like, I've watched those games, JT. He's made some incredible plays that have been the difference. Is that fair? I mean, like,
I think so.
So that's why he's my favorite option in general of the guys that might be free agents, but I'm just really sure he's not going to be one.
Yeah, I certainly with the playoff run that he's had, and who's to say that it won't happen again in the Super Bowl against this New England team. I think I think it's going to be hard to see him not get a pretty lucrative deal with the Seahawks to come back there based on, now I guess it is based on what happens in the Super Bowl, right? A win probably makes that more likely. A loss maybe opens the door there. I also think that you look at what the Patriots have done and you say Drake May not necessarily playing to the MVP standard that we've put on him throughout the season against a middling schedule. And you look at what
you mean now that he's playing good teams?
I guess so. Now that you look at what else they've been using, and Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson, more Ramondre than Henderson, but they've been as
Henderson had 5 yards last week or 2 weeks ago.
Exactly. But like Stevenson for sure has been an absolutely impactful part of them getting to the Super Bowl as well.
100%.
And I don't want to throw running backs to the wayside. I think you look more times than not, running backs have helped their teams get to the Super Bowl more than the superstar quarterback talent alone in the past couple of years. I mean, when the Chiefs were in their three-peat era, like that was Isaiah Pacheco going on a crazy Hall of Fame type
The ghost
run
of
there
Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, the ghost of Kareem Hunt taking a very huge jump back into relevancy. Like, these guys show up in the playoffs, and I think that's an underrated aspect of team building when it comes to teams that want to contend.
We have a ton of other guys. We have mentioned one of 26 at this point that I want to talk about on this list. Joshua, real quick, we'll veer off course. He asks, Easton and JT, I know it's off topic, but who are your picks for the Super Bowl? I think the Seahawks are going to win. I think that we both think that as well, JT, if I remember correctly from last night.
Yeah, I mean,
I think the Seahawks might kill them. So
I will give my prediction tomorrow on our Super Bowl preview.
Oh, that's right. You're nice. Okay.
How about a little tease for you?
They're going to talk about it in depth. I'm going to talk about it in not depth. I think the Seahawks win pretty comfortably. I think they're just like that. I don't think the Patriots have the horses to compete. If the Patriots win, it's going to take Drake May playing a whole lot better than he has in a month. So, which is possible because before the last month, he was literally incredible every week. And so maybe he does that. But I think the Seahawks, barring an implosion, might kind of crush them. So we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. JT, real quick, let me tell everyone about our friends over at Window Nation, and then we'll get to the laundry list of other players. There's a couple of guys on here that maybe not the sexiest names, may not be the most sexy names, but I do think are well worth paying attention to because they fill direct needs for the Titans. But first, Window Nation is running a February sale that is a lot like their January sale, which is buy 4, get 4 windows free. But there's a little bit of a Valentine's Day incentive plugged in there. They are offering an additional, let me make sure I get this right. Is it not in the copy? What's the little bonus? I forgot about the bonus, but it's not written down. I figured it would be. Austin, if you're listening, do you remember this, JT?
I do not.
There's a little bonus for February, but I'm forgetting what it is. So you're buying 4, getting 4 for free. I'm hoping Austin texts us any second now. You get 0% interest financing for 2 years. And you also get something a little additional. I think it was like 10% off or something. We'll figure that out in a second.
Joshua says 10% off.
I think,
so
okay, I don't want to make
maybe 10% more silver in your windows than
I don't want to
before.
offer something that's not actually being offered. That feels like bad process, but I'm pretty sure it's 10% off.
I'm glad the chat. This is how we know that this is working on the chat. They know that Window Nation.
I'm just Ron Burgundy over here. If it's not written on my teleprompter, then I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But I've also not done this read for February, so I don't want to put words in their mouth. But if the chat says, then I believe the chat. So it's buy 4, get 4 for free. 0% interest financing for 2 years. And this month for Valentine's Day, an additional 10% off. Get all of that by scheduling a fast and free estimate now with the pros at Window Nation by calling 866-90Nation or going to windownation.com. Get some silver in your windows. It's a great time of year now that the freeze is behind us and the snow has melted and we have all thawed out. Take advantage of the opportunity to save some money on your heating bill to keep your house warmer next time that we deal with the power going out. I know Austin was certainly glad that his house had new windows when their power was out for days on end because it didn't force them out of the house into the cold immediately. It kept that heat trapped in there. Again, call them today for free. It costs you nothing to just give them a call and chat about your options at 866-90Nation or go to windownation.com.
If you're just joining us, we're talking about the free agents that have a connection to Robert Saleh. Hit that like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the A to Z Sports YouTube channel. If you're on Facebook, we appreciate you watching over there. Still below a 50% like to viewership ratio on Facebook. Guys, wake up. We got to get that
This is why JT gives Facebook a hard time. It's because you guys do stuff like this to us.
Yeah, well,
not enough love.
Can't say I don't think I can blame myself. So hit that like button, like the page.
I want to talk about receivers in a second because that's a sexy position to need for the Titans, and we can talk about some edge guys too because we know Robert Saleh is the defense guy. He's the pass rush guy. He's the trenches guy, and the Titans certainly need some help at edge. But I want to real quick mention some guys on the offensive line. Now we know the Titans' offensive line has undergone a lot of renovation over the past couple of years. They're in a pretty good spot. In my opinion, I think the back half of this past year, as we finally got some guys back from injury, we got some distance between guys coming back from injury. We got some time for this unit to kind of gel as a group. And develop some continuity. It all started to come together and click. Oh, and by the way, and the rookie quarterback who was putting a lot of strain on the offensive line early in the year was putting less of a strain on them later in the year because pocket management goes hand in hand with pass protection. It is a massive deal. All of that culminated in them looking like a pretty league average unit, which is the first time that we've seen that on a consistent basis, JT, in since 2022 at least. So it's been a long time, and the Titans have poured a ton of resources into this, right? They gave their starting center the highest center contract in that year's free agency. Last year, they paid Dan Moore the most of any tackle in that free agency. They, of course, used the 11th overall pick on Peter Skoronski. They used the 7th overall pick on J.C. Latham. And that right guard position is the one that has gotten the least love in terms of resources. Now, last year, they used a stopgap option. And I don't want to completely rule out the possibility of Kevin Zeitler coming back and signing another contract. I spoke with Kevin pretty candidly on locker cleanout day and was just kind of picking his brain on what he thinks is next for him. And he shut down the idea of even considering retirement right away. He said, absolutely not. I got another year, at least another year or two in me for sure. Now he's 35, and the Titans took a gamble last year on him, not from a talent standpoint because he's still a good ball player, but a gamble on him having a healthy season, which he had. It would be a gamble to bet on that happening again at his age. No shade to him. That's just the way that it works. I know that he wants to be back here. He made that. I mean, he's pretty adamant about that to me. He's like, I really hope that whatever happens, I can be back here somehow. Now, I don't know if that desire extends beyond starting, right? How does he want to be back here so bad that he's willing to come back and compete for the job, or willing to come back and explicitly be the swing guard because they go find somebody else? I don't know the answer to that question. I'm leaning right now, JT, that he's not back, that they don't sign him back, and the Titans are looking for another right guard option. We can talk about the center position too in a minute if people would like, but I think that there is a higher likelihood that that's kind of already in place. With that said, the guy whose name we could not read because of the overlay, but the folks in the chat can read it. Up there in the upper left-hand corner is guard Greg Van Roten from the Giants. He is one of two 2025 Giants starting linemen who I'm interested in. The other one I wrote about at AtoZSports.com yesterday, Jermaine Illuminor, was the starting right tackle alongside starting right guard Greg Van Roten for the Giants last year. They both, of course, worked with Brian Daboll. They both, of course, worked with Carmen Bricillo, the new offensive line coach. And I think they both could be of value to the Titans in different ways. Let's start with Van Roten, who is a pretty cut and dry, plug and play guy. If PFF score means anything to you, he was amongst the top half. He's above average guard last year by their score. Had a pretty clean stat sheet. And he's not going to be that expensive. The money he made last year was 3.5. The OTC valuation for this upcoming year is 1.1. He's probably going to make more than that. But the Titans, I mean, even if it's double that, triple that, the Titans would be a drop in the bucket for what they've got going on right now. And not only is he connected to Bricillo and Daboll, but he is, of course, connected to Saleh because he played in New York in 2021 for the Jets when Saleh was the new head coach there. So all of that being said, JT, any thoughts on what is his age on there? What does that say? 36?
He'll be 36.
Okay,
next
so
season.
he is
Yes.
in the Dan Moore tier.
You mean the Kevin Zeitler? The Kevin Zeitler.
What did I say?
age.
Dan Moore? Oh, sorry, I'm mixing
Moore.
linemen. Yes, Kevin Zeitler.
It would be like they gave $50 million to a 35-year-old
Kevin
left
Zeitler
tackle.
aged 10 years this season. Forgot to mention that to you guys.
Yeah, no, that's my one hiccup with this, right? You just tried the veteran 35-plus lineman experiment or like mid-30s or guard experiment there, right? And you look at what the Titans really got out of that, which is finally some play up and down throughout the season. Greg Van Roten, as much as he's had a connection there with Bricillo, with Daboll, do you really want to use another stopgap, or do you want to go for something that maybe makes this offensive line a little cohesive and maybe a more
That's how I
longer
feel.
lasting thing for the next couple of years. I would look at, if we're looking at the free agent connections, and once again, this is huge risk, huge reward, but Elijah Vera Tucker is a guy who is 10 years younger, obviously has the injury history,
Right.
but is a guy that I think you could definitely look at and say, if we can get him better and we can get him back to health, obviously this is a guy who's played both guard positions, left guard in 21, and then only played 12 games over 22 and 23 as a little bit of a swing guard there, and then played 15 games in 2024 as a right guard, missed the entirety of the 2025 season. So not great precedent there, to be honest. But you have guys like Corey Levin that you're most likely going to re-sign. You have someone in Jackson Slater. I don't hate the idea of, if you can get him for a little bit of a discount, right, because of the injury concerns, and say when he plays, he is a really, really dominant lineman.
Is that who this is, by the way, on my screen? This guy?
Yes.
Okay, so he has his name tattooed on his forearm. Am I getting this?
He
right?
does. He's Vera and Tucker. So,
okay.
I mean, that's kind of the kind of dog that's kind of crazy I'm looking for on my offensive line.
Okay.
And I understand it's huge risk, huge reward. And there's definitely some other guys that are out there that may make more sense. But for the sake of the exercise here with Robert Saleh connections, if I was going to pick one of these guys that is connected to a staff, I'm going to go with the high risk, high reward option in Vera Tucker, knowing that I have a decent to, I guess maybe underrated option behind him in the rising potential of a Jackson Slater. I have I have Corey Levin. I have my swing tackle. And even if we're worried about, even for the sake of the argument, let's say we want Kevin Zeitler back. That didn't exactly go well. He did not play all 17 games. He went out in the middle of games. You know, it's not like
he mostly
any of these. He mostly played.
For a 35-year-old, I call that a healthy season.
Fair enough.
Did he play every snap? No, but he was around for most of it.
I'm always looking to get younger. And if Elijah Vera Tucker, if you can tell me that he's going to be at least semi-healthy, like if we're looking at this,
right? Like, isn't it funny how that works? We're talking about, do you want to risk it with the old guys who have an injury risk because they're old, or do you want to risk it with the young guy who has an injury risk because he's always injured? Like,
gun to my head, I'm still taking the younger guy because I'm going to bet on that upside. And then Just Smash, this is like the 8th time. Just so Just Smash knows, he says, JT, I need to know what's to your left that you look at so constantly. It's potentially my actual computer in my monitor that I have here.
Is it really that hard to infer what's going on here? I mean, I also have a second monitor that I look at. So there's a bird outside that he can't stop looking at.
Squirrels.
That's right. Can I interest you in Jermaine Illuminor, who is not on this list, but I wrote about him yesterday, so I kind of want to mention him here. And this is where I got a little bit of flack from at least one person on Twitter yesterday when I wrote this article, and they're like, Easton, he plays tackle. There's an actual guard that is connected to Carmen Brasillo and Brian Dable. His name is Greg Van Roten. Why, if you'd actually done, he said, if you actually done your research, you'd know that there's a way better option. Well, first of all, Illuminor is going to be 31. Van Roten is 36. So, like, that's a part of the research there, bud. Also, the reason that I wrote about Illuminor and not Van Roten is because while Illuminor is historically a tackle, yes, right tackle, I think what he offers to the Titans in terms of versatility is more attractive to me at a younger age. And the crux of the article was he seems to have this really, I don't want to say strange, but like really strong relationship with Carmen Brasillo, because they didn't just work together with the Giants in 2023 and 2024. They also worked together with the Raiders from 2021 to 2023. And they worked together with the Patriots from 2020 to 2021. So since 2020, with 3 different teams, and if he came to the Titans, it would be a 4th, Jermaine Illuminor has worked almost exclusively. He had very brief stints with the Jaguars and the Chargers in 2021 before he eventually landed with the Raiders, where Carmen Brasillo was. Outside of those 2 very quick road pit stops, he has worked exclusively under Carmen Bursillo as his offensive line coach, and he's kind of a journeyman. He's been in the league 7 or 8 years. He has not been a real starter except for these past couple of seasons. So, like, Bursillo has gotten the most out of him in that way. You talk now because I'm about to sneeze.
I think that's an interesting option for sure. You give him an option to potentially start at a position that may suit him better. I don't want to knock the fact that getting the continuity with a guy like Bursillo is probably something you would really like on this offensive line, mostly because you will have 4 guys who have never worked with him before. And we know the conversation we've had the last 2 years with Bill Callahan trying to get to learn that new type of teaching style. I think we're going to underrate that as well, going from whether it worked or not, the hard rigidness, the intensity of a Bill Callahan system to what Bursillo might bring is something that I'm certainly interested in seeing the acclimation process there early in training camp and whatnot. So that's going to be very interesting. But having a guy who's done it before, who can help your offensive line room kind of get up to speed faster, is something that I think you can't take for granted. And I think that's why Van Roten and, like you said, Illuminor would be really intriguing options.
I didn't forget it. The sneeze interrupted my rant. The important note here is while he is historically a right tackle, he's also been a swing tackle. He has north of 500 snaps under his belt at left tackle in his career, does Jermaine Illuminor. And he also has around 500, 300, 400, something like that, a couple hundred snaps worth at right guard in a pinch. So he, proof of concept, can play inside as well. And so what I was theorizing was, and again, this is all contingent on him really wanting to be with this guy with Carmen Bursillo, because we know how ravenous the league is, desperately hungry for tackle-capable bodies the league is at all times in the offseason, and it gets only louder of a fever pitch as we get later into the year. He is somebody that can play tackle. He's going to have options for real money. And so the Titans, because they don't need a tackle, are probably not going to offer him tackle money that other teams may be willing to offer him. So if he wants the most money, then he's going to probably go somewhere else, acknowledging that. If he doesn't have as many options as he was maybe hoping, or if the Titans are maybe more interested in him than we're giving them credit for, I think that he'd be a great flexible option to bring in to push this line to be its best one way or another. What I would do is bring him in and say, hey, we'll bring you in. You can be the starting guard on paper, and then we have Jackson Slater compete with him. And if Jackson Slater beats him out, that's obviously a fantastic cost-controlled young option. Great. Now he becomes your swing tackle option, right? And you have him compete with Oli Udoh and Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon, and you have those guys scrap it out in August, and then when the dust settles at the end of August, you trade one of those guys. We already know that Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon and Oli Udoh were under threat of being sniped by another team at the end of last season, and they fielded at least some trade calls we heard on Oli Udoh. So those are the kinds of guys that you could move for compensation of some sort if you're the Titans. This is kind of pie in the sky. I acknowledge this because you have to land the guy who, again, is probably going to get offers to be a tackle somewhere. But there's just something about how he has followed Bursillo at every single turn. It's kind of a unique thing in the NFL that makes me wonder how big a deal that is to him and how big a deal maybe he thinks, hey, I'm going to be maximized under this guy. I don't want to go somewhere else and risk kind of ruining the momentum that I've built. Again, every year for the past half decade, he has played more and more, played better and better, and that's been under Carmen Bursillo. So just a thought.
Yeah,
but
I like that thought for sure. I think one other thing.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. The last thing that I wanted to credit you for before you go is you mentioned the continuity. That's really the key here to me, is maintaining continuity one way or another. And I think that has to be top of mind for whoever you bring in to fill this spot. Another stopgap for 1 year is not satisfactory to me.
No, I don't think so either. You also need, we're forgetting the biggest part here, as Bustin' Diamond points out. No more people that will retire before the season.
Great point.
We cannot have that.
Well, and listen, Van Roten is in that age, that bracket where he'd be on retirement watch for the 6 weeks that we're leading up to the season. So I'm sorry. I am actively rooting for somebody to retire every year to just keep the bit going. Like
on the Titans.
I need Titans training camp Nashville summer heat to break somebody every single year because it's a funny bit.
It is a pretty funny bit. Wide receivers.
Yeah, I think people have had enough offensive line talk. Let's talk about the fun guys.
For sure.
Who comes to mind for you? Or actually, you peek at the list and develop some thoughts while I tell everyone about our friends at Barton Jury Insurance Group, because we do need to keep our sponsors happy, our salespeople happy, and Barton Jury Insurance Group makes us happy because they are who A to Z Sports uses for their corporate insurance needs. Check them out at bartonjury.com for customized solutions to all of your insurance needs. They are truly a one-stop shop for both your personal and business insurance. With over 40 years of serving Tennesseans, Austin and Zach loved their buying experience from them over a year ago now. Many different options and plans presented, high level of responsiveness, high level of expertise and experience with the service team. They could tell that they were in good hands the entire time, and they sell everything from employee benefits to 401k planning, life insurance, workers' comp, liability, auto, property, umbrella, and surety bonds. Anything you could possibly need from an insurance broker, they have got you covered at bartonjury.com. They are local. They strive to provide excellent service, of course, but most importantly, they are going to take the time to make sure everyone understands their insurance policy. So check them out today at bartonjury.com. All right, JT, like the show.
Yes, like the show before we keep going. I do want to put you on. I want to put you onto game real quick because this is still happening. Jack wanted to remind you. Yesterday, this came up that my fandoms are being put on trial soon. We're gonna have a whole show about
your various
defending.
fandoms.
Yes. Do you think I'll pass?
So, they're going to quiz you on your teams to see if you're a real fan.
Yes, they're essentially going to put me on trial and hear me out of why I'm a fan of each team.
Oh, I see. Well, I don't know if you were privy to this. We mentioned the quirkiness of your fandoms on the Monday show because we were explaining why you weren't here. And I was he went to the Tampa Bay game, and everybody's like, Tampa Bay? What? Which is the appropriate response because you're a fan of the Mets and the Bengals and the Tampa Bay Lightning that have a collective zero things in common. So I'm looking forward. This is tomorrow. This is scheduled. When is this happening?
No, this is happening in late May, early June, something like that.
When we have nothing else to talk about.
Much like the U.S. legal system, this trial is being pushed back as far as possible.
We're deep into the discovery portion of the proceedings. There's not even a jury assembled. It's going to take some time. Okay, good to know. But I look forward to that episode. Who on this list, and we can bring them back up if you'd like, caught your eye at the receiver position? Because Lord knows the Titans could use some receiver help.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you look at some of these here. Let's just go through the options, and I'll tell you just straight up, yes or no. Kendrick Bourne, no. 31 and is only good with Mac Jones.
Unless hey, the Titans need a backup quarterback too.
They do.
Just saying. I don't know. I think Mac's under a multi-year contract, but
I don't think so. I think he's a free agent.
Well, hey, I'm going to find that out. Go ahead.
Sky Moore, 25. No.
Why, JT?
The Sky Moore experiment is over. We're not doing this. And then you go to Deebo Samuel. No, age 30. Can't do it. Titans and receivers over the age of 30. Can't do it. I'm sorry. But
it leans into the bit. It is funny.
It does lean into the bit. Titans legend Deebo Samuel does have a little bit of a nice ring
graveyard that is the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah. Here's the one. This is the one, right?
Mac Jones is under contract next year. I have terrible news.
Is he really?
Yeah, one more year. I'm so sorry.
He might get traded. Who knows?
It could. But listen, we know how Kyle Shanahan feels about McCorkle.
Yeah, fair.
He's finally got his hands on him. He's not letting him go.
Yeah. Here's the one, and it's up in the top left, right? It is Juwan Jennings, 28, has, from former Tennessee Volunteer, now 7th round pick.
I noticed a little inflection in your voice when you said that.
Did you? I did. I don't know what you're talking about. I picked up on
a little something.
Former 7th round pick has really emerged as the San Francisco number 1 in the last year and a half when Brandon Ayuk goes down, when they trade Deebo Samuel away. Mm-hmm. He's a guy that, once again, I'm of the opinion, and we talked about this yesterday, Easton, that this was in the cut or keep Calvin Ridley conversation. If you keep Calvin Ridley and sign a guy like Juwan Jennings and get a guy in the draft, I think you feel much better about that room versus cutting Calvin Ridley and then going out and getting an Alec Pierce or a Romeo Dobbs or a Juwan Jennings to be your one, right? I think in adding someone probably in the second or the third round. I think Juwan Jennings absolutely is not a one, but there still is that hole for a wide receiver 2 to come in because I think they still need it. We talked about this as well yesterday. I think Chimere Dike has the potential to get to a wide receiver 2. I think Alec Manor has maybe slightly less potential, but still potential nonetheless to get to wide receiver 2. But it's only year 2 for them, and they're day 3 rookies. Much like Juwan Jennings, he did not become this wide receiver 2 option in the first 2 years of his career. It's taken 3 to 4 years for him to get to where he is now. So you look at those guys like Chimere Dike and Alec Manor, and you say they could get there eventually, but next year is not going to be the year. So you still need that viable wide receiver 2. And if OTC is valuing a guy like Juwan Jennings at 12, 13 million, I think that's well in the realm of possibility to, instead of going for an Alec Pierce or Romeo Dobbs, who might get 21, 22 million on a market that is in high demand for those types of guys, taking a guy like Juwan Jennings, bringing him home, as some people in the chat said there, to be your wide receiver 2, while you try to find that wide receiver 1-ish gem in round 2 or round 3 and try to bring them in to this while keeping Calvin Ridley on the team, which, by the way, we talked about this yesterday. You still have so much money. You can get more money by cutting him, but is there really an incentive to do that? I think
the Titans are in a position where cutting guys to get more money might just become a problem because then you have to spend more money. Like, you're just, I think they're going to want to really not cut people to make money because I don't think they want to spend the money they already have to spend.
Yeah, here's the bottom line here. Whether you cut like a guy like Calvin Ridley, whether you sign a guy like Alec Pierce or Romeo Dobbs, the only pathway to getting a wide receiver 1 this season, like a bona fide wide receiver 1 alpha type of guy that is going to be your number 1 target, is through the draft. And even then, you look at Cardinal Tate, you look at Mekhi Lemon, you look at Jordan Tyson, you say those guys aren't set and forget wide receiver alpha 1 stud. So like there's no home run answer. There's no absolutely checks the box. This is the guy that you need to target if you want that. They're all going to come with question marks. So to me, it doesn't feel like it's the year to do the wide receiver 1 thing. I think you can still create a really viable offense, an offense like we've seen Brian Daboll use before, that doesn't necessarily have a 1, but say has a Calvin Ridley who's maybe a 2, a Juwan Jennings who's a 2, a pick in the second round who's a 2, and then Chimere Dike and Alec Manor as your 4 and 5. That you can create a really good offense still around that, and it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. And so that's why I think Juwan Jennings, with the age, with the cap evaluation, with where they are most likely going to move in the draft, I think you look at what they have right now and say at 4, yeah, it's probably edge at 4 because that is the higher level of prospect there. And you say they're going to go there. Potentially a Casey Concepcion falls to the second. You look at other guys that are going to be around there. I know we just went to the Senior Bowl. A lot of people were hyping up Jacoby Lane. I think that's not going to happen. There's going to be options there in the second round that you say.
Does Boston maybe fall out of the first?
Denzel, yeah, maybe like either Denzel Boston or Casey Concepcion maybe falls out. Like those are types of guys that you can maybe take a swing on to be your next wide receiver 1. And so I think that's why, if you're looking at the connections for this list, for the sake of the exercise, Juwan Jennings is your only option, and I think it's a pretty damn good one.
So price-wise, I completely agree. Again, the OTC valuation of 12.3 is low. I bet he gets 15 plus. A couple of comments that lead me to what I want to ask you about. So first, King VC, lock in like the show. Love you, King. Appreciate you, man. And he's right. Lock in and like the show. If you haven't not hit that like button already, please do so for us. Amnesia with the $5 super chat. Tennessee needs to stop being a redemption tour for old veteran players. We, of course, all agree. But you know what that requires, JT, is hitting on the young players. Because if you don't hit on the young players, then you're left to pay the old players. Those are your options. Randy says, I'd be more down to bring in Wan'Dale Robinson for the Dable connection. I wrote about this yesterday at A2Zsports.com. You can go and read basically all the things you need to consider if you're in on the Wan'Dale Robinson train. But I am, generally speaking, okay with the Wan'Dale Robinson connection. He's going to be kind of in that same price range. Put a pin in him because I want to talk about the whole free agency wide receiver.
You think he'll be in the same price range as Jennings?
Roughly. Like they're in the, to me, they're both in the 15 to 20 range. Like that tier.
Okay.
Like I think Wan'Dale will definitely make more. Don't get me wrong. Like I think Wan'Dale will be close to, if not.
I think Wan'Dale. Yeah, I think Wan'Dale will be closer to Alec Pierce money than he is Juwan Jennings money. Let's just put it like that.
Well, okay, interesting. Because like in my rough guesstimate is, I guess you're right. Because like to me, I think that Wan'Dale is like a 20 guy. I think Alec Pierce is going to be like a 25 guy, and I think that Jennings is a 15 guy. Like I think those are the clear bing bang boom tiers. But we'll see. Jennings is not a number one, says Kenneth. Titans Kyle, de facto number one, not a real number one. And I love this because we did this whole conversation for a long time. Juwan Jennings is a Van Jefferson / NWI 2.0. I remember all of the Mike Herndon comparisons. Juwan Jennings, NWI, same deal, which to me is just funny. I like NWI is a useful player, apparently when he's only on the Titans. But he is not in the same tier as Juwan Jennings. There's a clear tier jump, at least one tier jump to me. Juwan Jennings is a more reliable volume receiver. He has done more in terms of production the past 2 years than NWI has ever done outside of the 9 touchdowns, which we all kind of understand was a circumstantial thing, I think, more than like truly. I mean, I don't want to take away his 9 touchdowns, but it was kind of a insanity run there for NWI. Jennings will be way too expensive, says Rice School, for what his role will be. This is true, but also this statement right here, like, welcome to free agency, bub. That's how it works, right? You don't find ones at basically any premium position outside of like the rare quarterback that hits the market and you spend $1 trillion on, like Sam Darnold, which, hey, works out. And that's how it's going to be for whatever receiver they bring up. I'm glad that you ran down like the options for the Titans, because when you look at the actual free agency list of guys that are receivers set to hit the market in rough order of desirability, George Pickens, not a chance in hell. Alec Pierce, not a chance in hell. These guys aren't going to be available. I'm telling you. Brandon Ayuk is for sure going to be available and is for sure not going to be a Tennessee Titan for pretty obvious reasons in terms of what he is as a person and a locker room guy and what Mike Borgonzi wants in his person locker room guys. Mike Evans is a weird situation. I mean, you want to talk about the elephant graveyard? That'd be an all-time Titans move to bring in Mike Evans. He would be the next in a great pantheon, a rich tapestry of Titans elephant graveyard receivers. He clearly can still play, but he's not. Doesn't it feel like Bucks or nothing for him? Do we really envision Mike Evans in a New England Patriots uniform next year? I can't do it.
I mean, you think that it would be the case that he, didn't get that 1,000 last year, wants to run it back maybe one more time.
Oh, I think he's going to play. No,
absolutely. Yeah. I think you'd want to see that. Now we see it all the time, though. Like, once again, the Julio Jones playing with the Falcons, but at some point you get to be where you're a little bit washed and you move on and you find someone else with the name recognition that hasn't been paying as close attention of attention there. But I don't think Mike Evans is washed. So I do think he ends up staying.
And I bring all this up because when you run down the list, those four names I just mentioned are kind of the tier break to me in terms of pure talent, right? Pickens, Pierce, Ayuk, Evans. You then get to guys that are different flavors that are going to fit differently with different teams. Like Romeo Doubs could be the most desirable receiver that actually hits free agency. When you read the tea leaves in Green Bay, it seems like his time there is done. And so I wouldn't be surprised if he's the guy that gets paid the most money of the receivers in free agency. Same deal for Rashid Shaheed, who no idea if the Seahawks bring him back. I mean, if he has a 90-yard touchdown this weekend, it'd be hard to see them being like, thank you so much for your service, man. They traded for him, by the way. So like they're invested in a way. They sent a 4th-round pick for him? It was not a nothing pick.
I think it was a 3rd.
Yeah. So while he's not under contract, the Seahawks have invested. Wan'Dale is up there. Deebo Samuel is up there, another older guy, and then Juwan Jennings. Like that's the tier. You got your Christian Kirk, and then it goes to like another Keenan Allen, old guy, and then Thornton, if that's your flavor. Like, that's the tier that you fall off pretty quickly to. My point is, Jennings and Wandale are in that group with Dubs of might end up being the highest paid wide receiver that actually hits the market. And once we get to the week of March 9th and this puzzle starts to shake out, we have a couple of days of legal tampering and guys are signing back with the teams that they just came from before they actually hit the market. And the picture becomes clear of what's actually going to be available to teams around the league. The math just changes on these guys. The prices go up. The competition gets stiffer because it siphons everybody into narrower lanes. And I am going to be so generally hesitant of any big spending, any top of the market spending on premium positions in particular from the Titans in this free agency. That's a much larger conversation that we don't have time for today, but we're going to have, I think, next week actually, about just offseason philosophy, team building philosophies revolving around, hey, when you have $100 million to spend and you want to be a draft and develop team and you don't want to do what the Titans did in 2024 and blow your load on a receiver and a cornerback,
where do you
both
spend?
Didn't work out.
How do you spend?
Yeah, so you got to spend somewhere. I think that there is a way to square that circle. That's actually not all that difficult. You just have to be disciplined. And spending $20 million on a Wandale or a Jennings, I'm not saying that it would for sure be a bad move at all. Like it could certainly pay off for somebody. But can I with a straight face say that that's a disciplined move that is a the kind of move that is a sustainable growth way to build a winner in the NFL? To the point I put people in the chat, both of those guys, talented receivers, they do very different things. Those two are different archetypes. But what they have in common is that neither is really a one. But you'd be paying them big money. So I don't know. I find it interesting. My gut tells me, JT, because our last question that we had written down that we can ask, let's just go ahead and ask it and end the show on this. Who is the guy on this list of Robert Saleh free agent connections we think is most likely to actually get signed? So taking off your own thinking cap and putting on your Titans prediction cap, who do you think they will actually be going after? We'll send that question in the comments for folks to chime in here at the buzzer before we do trivia. I don't see a Jauan Jennings being high on their list, while he is going to be at the top of most of Titans fans' lists.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. There is just still a part of me that says that you need a wide receiver in free agency. Like, you cannot.
Oh, you need one. I'm with you on that.
I just don't know if that's there, because you don't necessarily need just a Van Jefferson type one. You need someone who's going to be on the field most of the time. And so that's a hard thing to do. That's a hard thing to navigate there. So I want to say Jennings and push back against that, like, because like even at a 2, like let's say the top of the market for Jauan Jennings is like you're paying him $19 million.
You know what? I'd take that deal.
I would be okay swallowing that on like a 2-year because of how much money you have.
I'm not going to be going
and the fact that
if they do it. I will have questions. That's all.
Yeah. So
gun to your head, between Wandale, who we both agree will be more expensive, and Jauan, who do you think they're more likely to be interested in?
Probably Jauan, just because
really?
I think.
Well, I completely disagree.
I think Wandale just plays a bunch of roles that you may already have set on your team. Like, I think if you have Wandale, you're going to take away from the Chimere Dike development in the Alec Manor development. I think you're taking away a little bit of that aspect of your draft and develop type team there, right? Not necessarily doubting the type of player that he is, but is that going to be the type of guy that you want in your system there instead of the other guys? I'm not sure.
Well, so you're right that there's overlap in terms of deployment, and I brought that up in the article that I wrote. Ada says Chim is not a slot. Well, he is. He's a big slot. He's a unique, modern version of a slot. He played 2/3 of his snaps this past year. That might be a surprise to a lot of people. 2/3 roughly of his snaps last year came from the slot. So he's a movable piece. He can play inside and out, And he's got the body to do so because when he's in the slot, it's a mismatch thing. He's a big slot. So he and Wandale are similar in the way that you want to line them up, but that's kind of where the similarities end because Wandale is
correct.
Wandale's, what is he, like 5'8", 185 or something?
5'8". He's close. I think he's 5.
I wrote this down yesterday. I mean, he's short. 5'10", 185. That probably sounds right. He is not what Chim is in terms of a build.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, hold on.
Is he 5'8"?
I think he is 5'8".
5'8", 185. I think I was right about that.
He's 5'8", 185. He's shorter than Diego Pavia.
So he's literally my height, which is always concerning in the NFL. So I don't know. Let's some other answers from people in terms of who they think they're most likely to bring in. Ward. I saw anybody that plays on defense. Breece Hall. Hard pressure mentions that Jeff mentioned yesterday on the radio that he wants Bain on the line with him. Yes, I saw this. Course. I'll be writing about it later at a2zsports.com. But yeah, I mean, watching Ruben Bain as a defensive lineman, I would also want to play with that guy. The safety, that guy that plays safety on the list. Not a solid guy, but I think Dable will make a push for Wandale. I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. Chris Jump says number 2 receivers make $18 to $22 million now, which is true. My question is, where on the NFL's pecking order of number 2s do Jawan and Wandale fall? Like, are you getting a below average number 2 at that price point? Are you getting an average number 2 at that price point? That's the question you have to ask. Wandale, I'm guessing, is on their list. Probably Breece. Tucker, but I really want Breece. At wide receiver, Jack says nobody that is a solid guy. Chris Bell, round 2. It will be the guard Easton wanted and a few corners that he thinks from this list they actually bring in. And I definitely think, who were the corners that we had on this list just for posterity? Because I definitely think that there's some that we need to keep an eye on. So Jimmy Ward is the safety, by the way, that was being mentioned. So Jason Pinnock is 27. He's a cornerback that was with the Niners this past season and played a lot with Saleh. And then, is he the only guy on this list? He is the only guy on this list. So,
and even Pinnock has played both corner and safety, so there is some versatility there. Yeah.
Okay, so it's just kind of a little primer for free agency. Yep. Obviously, the free agent pool they have to draw from is so much broader than just these guys that have played with Saleh, but I think it's a great starting point.
Yeah, absolutely. And to end the conversation, one more super chat from Amnesia. We appreciate you. Amnesia, he says, no way Saleh is going to bring in anyone who might cause him an issue as a second-time head coach. He's going to bring in someone proven, and they will overpay for that. I think
they have the means to do so.
Yeah. I was about to say the same thing. Yep.
Do we want to play trivia and end the day? I heard that yesterday's trivia went as well as it could have gone.
Yeah, it was one of the easiest boards we've ever had.
Well, that bodes well for today. So let's get to some sports trivia on a Thursday. Shout out Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process in person in Lebanon or at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. JT, I am preparing to share my screen, and I am hitting share right now. We've had smoother transitions, but that's all right.
That was pretty fine.
Was it? On my screen, it was a mess, but maybe it was just a lag thing. Anyways, we've got a little MLB on here, so we'll be leaning on JT's knowledge. NBA, we'll be leaning on the chat's knowledge, let's be honest. Y'all know the drill. We start with NFL, we go counterclockwise, end with celeb mashup. Do we have an over-under from the chat?
No, I think Orlando's taking some well-deserved time off,
Real sports books don't take time off, Orlando. So I don't. Oh, just Smash is filling in.
There we go. So 4:15, I guess.
Yeah, that's. Well, should we give ourselves the benefit of the doubt and give us the extra 10 seconds and assume he meant a colon and not a period?
That is up to you.
I'm gonna say he did. I'm gonna write in the extra dot there to give us 10 extra seconds. Bork says over under 35 seconds. All right, man. All right, chat, lock in. We need your help. JT, are you ready?
Sure.
Don't sound too excited. Here we go. NFL. Undrafted out of Georgia, this man played for the Patriots from 2015 to 2024, became a team captain, and started at center for 2 Super Bowl wins. Man, I don't know. I'm sure I'm gonna know
I think his first name is David. David Anderson?
Chat?
David
I'll
something.
David myself when I hear it, but
David something.
I don't know.
I think it starts with an A.
David Andrews?
Andrews? Yeah, David Andrews.
Sounds right. Cool. Books. a 2012 memoir about a woman's solo hiking trip through the Pacific Crest Trail after numerous personal problems, was adapted into this 2014 Reese Witherspoon film. What?
I have no idea.
That whole sentence was Chinese to me. A 2014, listen, hand up, not the biggest Reese Witherspoon stan over here. She's
Wow.
fine. I'm not seeking her out as an actress. I'm not. Memoir about a woman's solo hiking trip through the Pacific Crest Trail after numerous personal problems.
Numerous personal problems.
This couldn't be more outside of my
The
preferred
Wild?
taste. Sure. Wow, that didn't narrow it down at all. Anne would know. You're
Anne
right,
would know
Sadler.
this.
Anne
This
would know.
sucks.
The Wild is an option. People are saying Wild, but is it just The Wild? Should we try it?
Let's do no, because like, isn't The Wild like an animated movie?
I don't know. Isn't that Call of the Wild?
No, everyone's saying just Wild. Can you try just like Wild?
It just gives us more options. Oh, there is one just Wild.
Sure, just rip it. See
Somebody
what
says
happens.
all caps, The Wild. Just Wild. Okay, all right, just Wild. Nice, good call.
Okay.
Men, manly men, ooh, are the opening theme lyrics to this sitcom that debuted in 2003.
That's I think that's 2.5 Men.
Right? It's got to be.
Yeah, I think that's 2.5.
It's a crazy thing to slam poetry read. Movies. Adam Sandler co-wrote and produced this critically panned 2012 comedy starring Nick Swardson and Christina Ricci that followed a dork who tries to become an adult film star.
I got nothing.
Yeah. I'm sure
This
I'll know
is
when I
tough.
hear it. Tough
This is
board. I
tough.
told you, after an easy board, they do not let up.
No.
A dork?
2012.
Bucky Larson?
Bucky Larson.
I've never heard of that. Born to be a
Yeah,
star? That sounds right.
That
It's
sounds
gotta be
right.
it. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
okay.
Well, I guess it would be nice if I could touch your body are the opening lyrics to this iconic 1987 George Michael song. They are making me read some interesting song lyrics.
Hmm. I know the song.
Well, that doesn't much help us. does
I
it,
don't.
JT?
Yeah, I don't know the.
Jail, says Bork.
I don't know the name though.
Grandma's Boy? What?
Faith. Is
Faith.
it called Faith?
I think it's Faith.
Okay.
Faith it is. Cereal. Berry Berry and Honey are alternative varieties of this brand of General Mills Corn Puff cereal. Is it Cheerios? But that'd be
Maybe.
Honey Nut, right? It's Honey Nut
Yeah.
Cheerios. Berry Berry and Honey.
I can see the Berry like box logo, you know?
Kicks
Kicks,
100?
that sounds right.
Okay. I've not been a huge
Kicks
cereal guy
sounds
since a
right.
child. Kicks it is. MLB. Dwight Evans launched 379 home runs and won 8 Gold Gloves while playing for this American League team from 1972 to 1990.
Dog, what? Sorry.
1972, the year my father was born? That 1972?
Nick says Red Sox, Boston.
Do we feel good about Boston? Detroit?
Someone says Detroit,
Boston. All right, Boston it is.
Boston was around longer. Let's go with that one. All right.
NBA, Al Harrington, Jonathan Bender, and Jamal Tinsley helped this team make the 2004 Eastern Conference Finals. Man, this board is designed to not be freeze and freeze.
Yeah. Detroit Pistons.
Sure.
Don't put it in.
Oh.
I don't know. I was just
I thought you were-
guessing.
People are saying
Pacers?
Pacers?
Sure.
Okay, Pacers it is.
Pacers.
Wilson would know that.
All right.
Celeb mashup. Ooh. The guy on the inside is that Superman? Is that Henry Cavill?
No, that is not Henry
The
Cavill.
mustachioed man in the middle is not Henry Cavill?
that man does not look like Henry Cavill.
Okay, well, who is the outside guy? Oh crap, I know who the outside guy is. Shoot. He's the guy Vince Vaughn.
Vince
thank you.
Vaughn? Okay, yeah, that makes sense. It's everyone's stepdad. That's
Who's
funny.
the This guy does look like a
I mean, maybe it's Henry Cavill.
he looks
But-
like a donut eating cop in the Midwest, this guy. I think it's Henry
Yeah.
Henry Cavill. Looks like Jim Hopper. It does.
It
It's a
does
good
look
call.
like Jim Hopper.
I'm going to try Henry Cavill because we don't have a better answer.
Okay.
Bang!
Wow.
Hey,
Okay.
was
It's
a
just because Vince Vaughn is
slog.
fat. It's just because Vince Vaughn is fat. Took away from Henry Cavill.
It was those blue eyes that did
Yeah.
it for me.
You just
couldn't
look
miss
into
that.
those eyes and that big mustache, and you say that's Henry Cavill.
Well, the
Arthur
consolation
Smith.
prize on it. That's right. Arthur Smith is crazy. There's a little
Let's check
consolation
out
prize
how
whenever
hard was the
whenever
board.
you have a really tough board like this. To at least go a clean 9 for 9 still feels pretty good.
How tough was it?
The board. Probably. Oh
Whew.
yeah.
Yikes.
We are one of less than 50 of 8,700 completed puzzles today that got them all right. Now we're
Hey, that's
cheating 'cause
pretty
we're using
good.
like 1,000 people in the chat.
Hey, but
still.
hey, chat, that's pretty good.
Average score of 2.9. The average person got 3 of these right.
That's crazy. Good
Tough
job.
board.
Good job, chat.
The hardest one was naturally the books. I don't think a lot of people
that's the version
crossover
of
with Barstool Fan and
yeah.
Wild, whatever that is.
This is the equivalent of getting those tough yards on third down. We're doing the dirty work here today. Good job,
right.
chat.
I think you're right. All right, we will be
All right.
back to finish out the week tomorrow. It'll be Austin and JT talking about, amongst other things,
Super Bowl time.
the Super Bowl, the big game, as they say, to be copyright appropriate. But I don't think anyone's going to strike our show for mentioning the Super Bowl. Primetime with Buck Rising tonight, I believe, to end the week out there. I've got written content coming today and tomorrow at ADZsports.com, so keep an eye out for that. Until tomorrow morning, same place, same time. Have a great rest of your Thursday.